We've gotten three Deep Blue Sea movies over the years, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm going to be ranking all three Deep Blue Sea movies from worst to best. Shark movies, I'm a pretty big fan of the shark flicks, but I'm not gonna lie, most of them are crap. For every 10 that you watch, you might get one decent one. And I've seen 40 or 50 of them in my lifetime, and I might have a good top 10, but yeah, they're usually not too great. Let's see how this franchise holds up. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy rankings like this, and make sure to drop your ranking of all three Deep Blue Sea movies in the comments section. Let's not waste any more time. Let's dive in. So for me, easily coming in the last place, I got Deep Blue Sea 2. Now, this is the second time I've watched this film. I watched it when it came out, and I thought it was so bad, god awful. A one-star movie if I've ever seen one. It's just so silly and ridiculous and cheap that I just couldn't get into it. On this rewatch, I liked it a bit more. It had a little bit more entertainment value, but it's still a bad movie. But yeah, I could get through it a bit easier this time around. It feels much more like a remake than a sequel, though. It repeats a lot of the same beats as the first film. You know, we get this research facility in the middle of the ocean again that goes underwater. We get it flooding again. We get these super smart sharks that they made smart at this research facility break out and start attacking them. A lot of the characters feel like the reminiscent of the original. Like we get another shark wrangler, we get another female doctor, we get it feels like a copies of the original version, just tweaked when it comes to their characters. At least we don't get another cook in this, or that they would have been crossing the line. But yeah, it does feel a bit more like a remake, so the story just doesn't seem that interesting. Um, our main guy running this facility, Carl Durant, I think his name might be. He's taking the medicine that's making the shark smart as well, and it's making him smart, and it's so ridiculous. Every time he takes the medicine, you get like math equations and stuff on the screen. It's like, is that supposed to show that he's getting more smart? And the character isn't even that smart for taking these drugs all the time, so that's pretty dumb. They set up this film where we have these five bull sharks. They work kind of like in a pack, like a wolf pack, but it's kind of teased at the start and we see them again at the end. But in the middle of the film, they're nowhere to be found. It's more focusing on the offspring, on these babies. There's a bunch of these little baby sharks that are killing people like piranhas. And it's like super not shark like at all. They're making these weird sound effects when they're coming down the corridor underwater. They're like making these little screeching sounds and stuff. It's like, for one thing, sharks don't make sound effects. For another thing, the way the water's bubbling and everything, it just feels like they're ripping off piranha at this point. And that would have been fine if we would have got some cool kills in there with them, but for the most part, the kills kind of suck in here as well, and the effects are pretty bad for the most part, especially that one Asian chick that lifts out of the water after getting eaten by the baby sharks and parts of her face is missing, and it's so digital and so much CGI there, and it's not good CGI. It just looks god awful, and it kind of takes away from the fun that could have been had in this film. We do get a couple of fun scenes though, like we get a decapitation, which is always fun. I like the way that Carl Durant guy goes out. The shark's coming at him, and he like yells at him, and the shark moves away, and he's like, "See, she listens to me. I'm her master." And then he gets picked up and eaten by him right after. And I thought that was pretty hilarious. But yeah, for the most part, the movie's pretty dumb. It's pretty eye-rolling bad. The way they defeat the final shark with the flares, it was just so cheap and unsatisfying. The way it led up to that, it was just like they had the suspense for once, and then they dropped the ball. Pretty terrible. And a bunch of other terrible things in here, like a shark listening to someone's conversation, like by a window, like watching and listening to figure out a plan. It's like, come on. I know these sharks are smart, but that's just crossing the line. That's just too dumb for me. So yeah, not a good movie. Very bad, cheap, not very good effects. The acting isn't very good, but there is some entertainment value to be had if you turn your brain completely off. Up next at number two, I got Deep Blue Sea 3. Now, this was a first time watch for me. After seeing part two, and when part three came out, I'm like, nope, not giving it a chance, even though I heard it was better. And yeah, it is a lot better, especially story wise, in that it actually has its own personality. It doesn't try to copy the original, it doesn't seem so much like a remake. This one feels like a true sequel. It actually continues the events of part two, which is nice, where some of those offspring are still going around. They're growing up and they escaped and they're trying to kill them. The movie is environmentally conscious. It has some social commentary and themes in there about the environment, marine life, and how these sharks, these bull sharks that are experimented on and that are smarter, how they're an invasive species and they could really wipe out everything in the ocean if they let them continue. Because yeah, they're taking out even great white sharks, they're taking out everything. So yeah, the reefs, the nursery for the fish would all be gone in a matter of seconds. So it makes sense that they're shoving this environmental stuff down your throat because it goes with the story. I just hate when they do that when it has nothing to do with the plot. It just feels like it's forced in. But it actually works this time around. I think the biggest problem with this flick is that the first half is pretty uneventful and it moves very slowly. But once we hit that middle mark, it kind of picks up on the action. We get a lot more kills, a lot more, great stuff going on from the middle to the end. But it's just getting there takes a while. And the runtime is a little long. The movie definitely could have been cut back, and it would have helped maybe the pacing in the first half. But you really do notice that the characters are serviceable. They're a bit better than part two, but they're still not great. We got that one Shaw character, the brother. He's trying to do his best The Rock impersonation, but he just doesn't have the size or the charisma. But he's trying. And everybody else, like I said, is kind of serviceable. There's less dumb scenes in here, but they're still there. One in particular is where they have one of the sharks kidnapped, they have him sedated, and the other two sharks are trying to destroy their ship because they know that their brother or whatever's on there. And they literally put like a harpoon up to his head and threaten him. They're like, back the fuck off or I'll kill him. And the other sharks back off. I'm like, I know these sharks are smart, but goddamn, like they don't understand English. I doubt it anyway, or that how harpoons work, or whatever. It's just really dumb. I found, but aside from that one little part, for the most part, the movie has a sensible tone to it. It's fairly grounded for this type of film. We get some pretty cool shark stuff going on. More decapitations, some limbs being ripped off. A really funny kill where one of the bad guys kind of turns good. He realizes what they're doing and wants to help out the good guys. And he jumps off the ship and he lands like right into a shark. A shark comes up and eats him. It was so unexpected that it made me laugh. That gave me a good chuckle. And when it comes to the effects in this movie, at times they're a step up from part two, and at other times they still look god awful. It's like a weird mix. And other times I'm like, wow, that actually looks pretty good for this lower budget film. So it's hit and miss when it comes to the effects, but I enjoyed the story. The characters were good enough, and we had some pretty good kills in here. The story is just a little overstretched, in my opinion, but a huge step up from part two, and this one's actually decent. But for me, easily coming in the first place is Deep Blue Sea, the original from 1999. I've been watching this film ever since the day it released. It's one of my favorites. It's not the best shark movie ever made. That will always be Jaws. But this is my favorite shark movie to rewatch over and over again. It's just so fun. I love everything about it. It's got an incredible fun cast with people like Thomas Jane, Michael Rappaport, LL Cool J, Samuel L. Jackson, the list goes on. Very stacked cast, which we don't really get in the sequels. Really fun setting with this research facility in the middle of the ocean, so there's no escape. And yeah, it goes underwater and it starts to flood. So we got the tension, we got the suspense, and I love any movie that has some flooding in there. I always feel like that makes for a claustrophobic atmosphere, and this movie delivers that. how they have mako sharks in this one, different from the bull sharks and different from most shark movies, which is great whites, which they always use. So I like that they switched it up and used mako sharks in here. They're smarter, but they're not like too smart. They learn to swim backwards. They're flooding the facility on purpose so that they can escape. Their main goal is to reach the deep blue sea, which doesn't really seem to be the main goal in these other movies, but yeah, everything about this film just works on another level compared to the other films in this franchise. We get some really fun sequences. LL Cool J plays a cook, and everything involving him and his bird is just so fun to watch, especially when he's hiding in the oven and the shark accidentally turns it on. I hear a lot of people say, as if the shark turned on the oven, but it was obviously an accident. He's just thrashing around and hitting the buttons, right? But it makes for a super fun sequence, as well as the other sequence with the female doctor. Can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she has to stand on her swimsuit so she doesn't get shocked, and she electrocutes the other shark. Scenes like that are just so damn fun. Another standout scene is when Samuel L. Jackson is given that epic speech and he gets eaten out of nowhere. Yes, the graphics don't look great in that moment, and there's a few times in this film the graphics look outdated, the effects. But for the most part, they're smart enough to go practical or use the CGI sparingly as a tool instead of using it all the time. So that works out to their advantage. But yeah, everything about this film is just so damn fun, from its setting, from its uh it urgency. Like, they need to get out of there or they're all gonna die. To stop these sharks from escaping, even once they get to the surface, they still have to stop them. And it makes for a really thrilling final act with a death from a character you don't expect. Cause you figure that they're gonna be the ones that make it, but I like how they pull the rug from under you at the very end. They do a good job of that. And I just really like watching Thomas Jane in this role. How he's like a a shark wrangler, but he's also an ex-convict. But he actually seems to have more of a heart and a soul and morals than a lot of these doctors. All they care about is their research. They don't really care about the human lives that it's costing. So I always really like Thomas Jane's character, and this is really the start of his stardom for 10 years with this. The Punisher, The Mist. He was on a roll for a while. It's unfortunate he kind of fell off after like 2010 or so, but yeah, this was the starting of a great run for him. And this movie just gives me everything I want from a great shark movie: to fun, great characters, a cool setting, great kills, cool sharks. You name it, it has everything. It may not be as iconic or as influential as Jaws, but I'll be damned if it isn't more entertaining. It has to be one of my favorite shark movies ever made, so for me it easily comes in the first place. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 3 Deep Blue Sea movies. Make sure you let me know what's your favorite down in the comment section. You can always follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Links to those are always in the descriptions of my videos. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I enjoy most shark movies, even the bad ones, so if you have any other suggestions for me to check out, let me know. I've seen a ton of them though, but there's like 20 a year, so I'm sure there's some that I've missed that are good. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.